Hello and welcome back with another The Orville episode review. Today we're going to talk about the second episode in line, the command performance. Well, this episode, although reminded me in a few aspects of Star Trek and Star Trek the original and Next Generation, it really had a focus on Alara Kitara and her relationship with Dr. Finn. But before going into any details, I have to state I really enjoyed this episode. It was actually a real treat for Star Trek fans and for non-Star Trek fans as well. The director is Robert Duncan McNeil in this episode, who played Tom Paris in Star Trek Voyager and Ensign Locarno in Star Trek The Next Generation, the story written by Seth MacFarlane. So the episode itself, as I said, had a resemblance of a couple of Star Trek episodes. At the beginning of the episode we got a distress call from another ship, a transport ship, that actually reminded me of a Vulcan ship because of the circles and the whole unique shape. So they got a distress call from this ship, they actually go there, they investigate, and they had a really awkward situation with Ed Mercer's mom and dad. Well, that was the parody part that it was okay. I think it was okay. I'm not saying as particularly, it was funny, but it was okay. So they go into this ship that they thought it's a ship, but they got transported. The ship actually disappeared. It was a hollow projection, and obviously they start to investigate what the hell's going on with the captain and the first officer. Well, Alara takes commands of the Orville. She was really afraid, and she actually was afraid of the big chair, but Kelly and that moment was very aspirational, and I really enjoyed how she actually encouraged Alara. You know what to do, you are qualified, you wouldn't be here if you wouldn't know what to do. So we have trust and faith in you. And that was one point that actually I thought, okay, they are really grown-up people, and such a beautiful aspect of the show. As I said before, this episode has actually a connection with the Star Trek universe, with the original series plus with the Next Generation. With the original series, obviously we have to talk about the cage because Kelly and Ed ended up in a Calavan zoo, and when actually you look around, the Calavan zoo looks just, little pods, and multiple aliens and life forms are actually trapped in caged in these pods. And in the cage, the Star Trek pilot episode back in 1966, Captain Pike being trapped in the Talos star system, in the Talos planet by the Talosians, and he actually served as a exhibit. Basically, the Talosians operated the same zoo in the Star Trek universe as Captain Ed Mercer and Kelly Grayson was in the Calavan Zoo as well. So we got to see in the modernized version of the classic episode in the Orville. Apart from that, this episode was really focused on Alara and Dr. Finn and Isaac, the relationship between these three characters. Alara and Dr. Finn got really good screen time, and they got really good character development in this show. As I said before, Dr. Finn reminds me a lot of Guinan and Dr. McCoy. So basically, the Guinan aspect of Dr. McCoy, Dr. Finn really came into in this episode, and she was trying to guide Alara how to actually take command and try to encourage her as well to, okay, you can do this, and you did a good choice. You listened to the Admiral, but you should go and actually listen to your heart every now and then, because command is not just following orders, it's mainly being more out there and being present. That was a funny aspect as well, when actually Isaac was helping Alara too, and he was giving good advice to Alara how to be more efficient in command. Alara really got a good experience from command in this episode. I think the girl really grew up from the beginning of the episode till the end of the episode. I think it was a really good character development and a character profile in this episide regarding to Alara and Dr. Finn and even Isaac as well. So we got to know more about these characters in this episode than anyone else in general. Obviously, the captain and the first officer was just the same, but it's more of a comedy show, so obviously we have to see these elements as well, which I didn't really find annoying or something. So it was quite a light touch. I was okay with it. There was another thing that I didn't really understand on the show is the Calavan zookeeper plus Isaac and Alara. So when they were in the room, and actually Isaac said, okay, she is my pet, and Alara responded, woof. That was actually quite a funny moment. So what I was actually thinking, when Ed and Kelly being kidnapped in this, and they've been placed in this cage in this zoo, they were wearing Union uniforms, and Alara showed up in the Calavan zookeeper's office as a Union officer. And the most peculiar thing is, the officer didn't really realize actually Alara wearing a Union uniform, so the zookeeper didn't recognize, okay, there's a Union officer, and so what's a Union officer doing actually here? But maybe because Isaac actually said, okay, she's my pet, it can come from anywhere, so I guess that's the simple explanation for this. The rescue mission and the whole bargain to actually get Ed and Kelly back from the Calaban Zoo was quite hilarious, you know, getting the reality shows from the early 21st century and giving the whole database to the Calaban was just actually, it was quite funny. And the reason how they actually started to browse, it's like 10,000 episodes here, it's like, this is the best exhibit we got. So you never know, maybe other species gonna find this intriguing, and you know, well, this species actually in planet Earth find this PV programs are quite interesting as well. I'm not judging anyone on any taste. If you're going to carry on with the hilarious moments and aspects of the show, the egg joke, well, as Bortus, I was a bit like, okay, I didn't really get the egg joke, but I guess it was funny. Seth MacFarlane has a unique sense of humor, and I do understand his humor as well, but sometimes in some occasions I just can't really get along with it, so that's, I totally understand Bortus having a blank face when actually the captain was making jokes. Dr. Obi-Wan was actually quite an interesting get out from the Star Wars universe as well. Because of that, I'm guessing there's gonna be other, relation with other sci-fi shows and other sci-fi universes and in the later episodes in Orville. And Kermit the Frog also, a leader figure for Captain Mercer. Well, you know, everyone has a hero to look up for. And obviously I have to mention Bortus and Clyden and their baby as well. Well, first of all, it was interesting to actually get to know, okay, they reproduce, single gender species reproduce by laying eggs. It was interesting to actually see them, having this ritual and having this brooding process. But I was kind of thinking, where the hell was Clyden? Because Bortus was actually sitting in his egg, but what Clyden does in the starship? What Clyden actually contributes to this, brooding process? Because they could have actually shared responsibility, or maybe actually Bortus would be the female version of the Mucklans, and Clyden would be actually the father figure. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna find out more about the Mucklans in a future episode in the next couple of weeks. Although one interesting fact that actually they all looked at the egg at the end is like, it's a female and it's impossible, and they actually looked really surprised, and it's obviously something that we gonna get a story out of this, because if it's a single gender species and they all have just males in the society, having a female, it made me think how it's gonna affect the Mucklans, how it's gonna affect the life of Clyden and Bortus. Maybe there were females in the Mucklan society, but we didn't know about them. Kind of interesting, actually, a line to develop and discover more in the future episode. Summarizing the episode, I really enjoyed watching it, and also the schedule that I announced yesterday, it's gonna change a bit because they just actually announced yesterday all the episodes are gonna come out in Thursdays. So this week it's gonna be a bit tricky because I'm gonna be sort of traveling around, so the review might come in Sunday or Saturday, or I try to do it on Friday, so we'll see. But it's gonna come out a bit later than this one and even the previous one. But as always, thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and share the video, and don't forget to subscribe to receive all the geekiness every week in this channel. And until next time, live long and prosper.